Aspetta ragazzi, siete
Al lavoro.
pronti?
So badly prepared. I just couldn't believe how stupid I was, really.
People are finding year two quite hard and quite tiring. Got a really big day today. I am meeting with Shelley from Bushfire Recovery Victoria, which is a government department sort of overseeing the recovery effort. And Shelley and I are going to visit a couple of communities out in sort of on the western side of Mount Buffalo. We find that doing these ready community planning exercises are a really great way of thinking about the future. In the summer 2019-20, we had the fires going around the back part of Mount Buffalo. This valley was so thick with smoke, you really couldn't even see the trees on the side of the road. Absolutely thick as anything. And thousands of people were evacuated. This is a Red Cross workshop that we call Ready Communities. And what we're really trying to do is help you identify some of the risks and challenges that you might face, whether it be fire or flood, and there'll be other risks that we can talk about, but also to help build your confidence into the future to address those risks and realise that you do actually have a whole lot of amazing skills already in place that you can draw on going forward. If you do all this preparation work that you're doing, if there is an emergency, whatever it is, you will recover so much more quickly. So if you've got your social networks in place and you've got your plans in place, if you've got your box with your stuff in place, you're ready to go, you'll be one step ahead because you are prepared and organised and your mind is in the right sort of space. Hey Shelley!
Hi, Jess.
Hey there! Here we go, off to Dandongadale.
Well, I just think that workshop, to make it meaningful, it needs to go somewhere. So obviously it's meaningful for them to be able to have access to all those services, and I think that's fantastic. But then where are they going to go with this, and how are they going to make this meaningful for the next disaster that hits them? And are they going to get those changes that they want? Because they made some really good points about next time if there was an emergency, this is what we need to see and this is what we'd like to see, and we don't all have internet and phones, and so but that has to go to the Shire, and the Shire and the emergency management people, they need to know that. So how do they get that information if it stops with the resilience committee, or it stops at the end of that workshop? That was my only concern.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, so I reckon a follow-up discussion about how you're going, and perhaps reminding people about what some of the other communities have done as well after they've done an exercise like this. So Shelley, during those fires you evacuated?
We did evacuate. We actually just got back from holidays the day before. I was so badly prepared. I left with less on that evacuation than I had been on holidays with, because I was just sick of it. It was just terrible, absolutely terrible, and I couldn't even think. I just didn't know what to do, what to take. I just couldn't believe how stupid I was, really.
So what do you reckon you do next time?
Well, you know, I've tried to talk to you about this, Jess, the Ready Plan and the app, but I plan to sit down with the family because I know in that Ready Plan it talked about asking, you know, your children as well about what's important to them and what do they want to put in their box. And I thought that was really nice because when it was left up to me that day, I just couldn't even think, and I wouldn't have packed anything that was what everyone else wanted except for probably passports.
COVID's been really tough, hasn't it? It's this whole thing of, you know, after a major disaster like a bushfire, it's so important to get the community together so they can share stories and start to help each other and rebuild. But with COVID, it's been almost impossible for about nearly 12 months.
COVID has really set a lot of things back. There's been no connectivity between people out here.
So we are just on our way
Use the left lane to take the M3 slip road.
to deliver some hotel entry packs because here in Queensland we have some
Continue on
involvement
M3
with
for 1 kilometre.
the hotel quarantine guests, and these hotel entry packs are basically useful information for the guests, such as important contact numbers and also some well-being information and activities. I'm surprised it will fit in the boot actually. Hello. We're from Red Cross. We've got some of the hotel entry packs. Hotel entry packs, the red booklets for the guests. Just put them on here. Hi. Hotel entry packs. It's a really important resource for the hotel guests to have. I know there's been feedback of the people they really appreciate just having all the essential information in one useful place, and also to have those techniques and methods to help them deal with this situation. You know, being locked down at home is one thing. Being quarantined in a hotel, you know, potentially on your own, is very, very different. But it's good to know that we are able to provide them with this booklet, combined with the phone calls that we make from a tele-outreach centre, that we're really doing what we can to help these people get through this situation.
Hey, so I've just arrived at the Rover Bush Nursing Centre. It's effectively like a local hospital without some of the kind of major services. So we're going to catch up with Sandy Grieve here and hear about what happened during the fires. The fires came across up over that mountain, and a lot of the locals actually sheltered in the Bush Nursing Centre here.
Access and egress will always be challenging for us. There's literally one road in and one road out, so we become isolated and cut off really easily, really quickly.
So one thing we are starting to roll out is what we call Ready Community.
Yep.
We use these big maps, so this is Mount Beauty, and it's really interesting because it's probably got similar issues to here. So
with regards to isolation and
and surrounded by sort of forested hills.
Mm-hmm.
The roads get cut off pretty quickly if they're fires. So it's this whole thing about self-sufficiency.
Very inclusive, which is lovely. I think part of the real benefit of planning is actually getting the community together to talk about this stuff.
So this all burns as well. You can see those trees are all burned here. It's interesting, isn't it, that it's not that long ago, and yet so much of the bush has regenerated that sometimes it's even difficult to see where there was fire.
In your message to me, you said that some people who are normally fine and pretty resilient are not doing so well.
And so people that I thought were really had their stuff together and have been absolute stalwarts through the fire and then in the subsequent period through a recovery phase, suddenly, we're seeing those people falling apart.
Yeah.
And, what has been incredibly, I guess, confronting for me is that that's me. Like, I'm resilient and and I've just worked throughout, right through the fires and then in the recovery period continued on. And I feel fine. But when I see these other people that have also said, yeah, I'm fine, only as recently as 2 and 3 weeks ago, I think, oh God, there is a risk that this will impact. And I'm on holidays as of Monday next week, which is sensational. So this will be the first time I've had leave in 3 years, but significantly in the last 18 months, which has been really full on with fires and then COVID. So lots of organisations talk about the necessity for self-care, but it's really, really difficult to look after yourself and to take time for yourself when your whole community is at risk and suffering and going through a hard time. And that's what I'm seeing starting to impact on people who have up until now been people that I would describe as incredibly resilient.
What an inspiring woman. Oh my gosh, things that that Sandy was able to do during the fires to look after the community here. They're so lucky to have her. That's been the most fabulous morning for me. I'm really hoping that we can do some more work here in this beautiful little community. Probably 80% of people feel a bit euphoric immediately after an emergency. They can then feel kind of depressed as they're trying to rebuild their houses and get their lives back together. But over time, 2-3 years, things can go back to kind of what we call a new normal. But there are cases where you have with support workers, so people in my role, for instance, and Sandy's role, where you can have that delayed reaction. So you're a bit euphoric, and then it kind of evens out as you're supporting other people, and then you can feel really hammered when you feel your community safe. You can start to get quite down, and I'm so glad to hear that she's going to have a holiday. That's such great news.
Total number of calls that we have made is 146,407 calls. There have been 455 staff and volunteers who've been involved, and we have a visual representation here. One of these lovely faces is yours. You can choose which colour you like to be.
Hi, this is Carol calling from Red Cross. Can you please put me through to room 610? Yes, thank you. That's good to hear. Now, this is your wellbeing call. How has quarantine been for you? Look, you've done everything right. Seriously, you've done everything right to get through this as best possible, because quarantine is challenging. The only people who think it's easy are people that haven't done it.
Hello, Mark. Mark, it's John from Australian Red Cross. Now, did you receive one of the Red Cross hotel entry packs when you moved in? A little red and white booklet. No balconies or no fresh air. There's a window. Do you get much of a view out of your window, or? And what is it, about day 3 for you today or day 4? Oh, okay. Have you had a COVID test yet? And you don't have any pre-existing health conditions? The last few people I've spoken to actually live in Brisbane, so it's been a bit easier for them because they've had family that lives close by that can drop stuff off. But of course you're not in that situation. Your family's a fair way from here. But as tough as it is, it seems to be working. It's keeping the COVID rates low in Australia. You'll think you'll make it through to the end okay, to the 14 days, despite the fresh air issue, yeah.
So about 18 months ago or more, yeah. I bet she's glad she didn't hold the wedding last year. And so uncertain too, which doesn't help things, you know. 1 minute the borders are open, the next thing they're closed. So the uncertainty has really got to a lot of people when they're trying to plan ahead. So, yeah. Oh, that's hard. That's hard. It's good. And how people look at it, how they approach it, and their own attitude, that does make a difference to how well they get through it too. So it sounds like you two have done everything right. So full credit to both of you. Yeah.
I'm actually off to the men's shed this morning to catch up again with Ray, and I might just leave some of these lovely little cards, helpful notes from all around the world from people who've been through disasters, and really helpful tips from them to aid recovery. So people are finding year 2 quite hard and quite tiring, particularly for those people who kind of wish that they had made more progress in year 1. And year 1, of course, was so difficult because of COVID. Ray, so tell me a bit about the men's shed and the idea of men's sheds.
We meet every week, and from all walks of life. Everyone's got a skill. We do things. We cut a lot of kindling and bag it and sell it through the Corion craft shop.
Yeah, okay.
We donate a lot of money to the hospital, fire brigade. I think we donated $13,000 last year.
It's just got such a lovely atmosphere. People are chatting away and helping each other with different projects and coming and going. Yeah. I've never been into a men's shed before, so it was a bit of an honour. This is just the most amazing place. It's performed a fabulous role during bushfire recovery. I've come down and run supporting the supporters event down here, which was very well received. Oh look, there's some furniture making taking place right now. So how's that?
A lot of people in the community have a lot of chairs that need repairing.
Okay.
So as a mentioned activity, it's great. And I used to do a lot of restoration in the past.
Well, we all need somewhere to sit, don't we? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
There's some more activity here. Hello. So I'm Jessica, and you are?
Danny.
Danny. Hey there, Danny. Just thinking back to the bushfires. It's just amazing, this tree here.
Come pretty close, didn't it?
Came close.
Yeah, it actually lived at this. This has been replaced since.
It has to, yeah. Look at that. That's so amazing.
This structure here was damaged by it.
Yeah. Oh, and you know, it's so fantastic the sheds are okay, because I imagine there was quite a bit of restoration work after the fires and stuff, and nice for people to catch up.
Yeah, it was sobering, a bit of reorganising and thinking about the future.
So I'm Courtney. I'm the pillowcase coordinator for Queensland, as well as a presenter. And today we're just packing some pillowcase resources and so forth for our session at the Brownies next week.
So what is Pillowcase Project?
It is a disaster resilience education program for grade sort of 3 to 4s, that ages 8 to 10 group. And we get wonderful volunteers like Denise to go into schools and do hour-long sessions so that children are not only given the tools to prepare for an emergency, but also given sort of the empowerment to go out and take the message into the community. Which is what we kind of focus on, is for them to share with, you know, their household and their loved ones and their own connections. So we're here to talk to you guys today about being prepared, creating your own emergency kit. So what we've mentioned here, we've mentioned a few natural disasters, so flood and cyclone. So why then do you think it's so important to prepare for emergencies? Who haven't we heard from? Yes.
Just in case they happen.
Just in case they happen. Perfectly said. So, as I said, emergencies can sneak up on us. So if we have a plan in place, we practice it and we prepare for it, it's also going to help to keep us calm. When we're calm, we make better decisions, and when we make better decisions, we can keep ourselves safe. Can anyone tell me what the difference between a need and a want might be?
Need is it's essential. You can't not have it. You want it, so you don't need it.
Yes, it's very hard to explain, isn't it?
So we've got water, change of clothes, food, first aid, medicine, and sunscreen. And we took out a blanket and
Toiletries?
Toiletries.
Yes, yep. Have a think about what you're going to put in your pillowcase. That if you had to leave home, what would keep you safe and what would keep you comfortable? The circle on the pillowcase has a few pointers. So things that you can put in your pillowcase, but we also want you guys to think of things that make you happy. So you can also draw those on the pillowcase as well.
So I packed a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
My bunny, which I can't sleep without it.
Yeah.
My favourite blankie, my iPad, my toothbrush, my toothpaste, and my iPad and my teddy and a medical. I'm going to put in food, water, a change of clothes, maybe toiletries. Maybe not.
So you can brush your teeth? Yeah.
And my special teddy that I will never sleep without.
Why do you think it's important to prepare for an emergency?
So you know what's going on and you know what you're doing.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to put my favourite thing and everything that's included, such as the clothes, the toiletries, lots of books, tons of
Lots of books. Do you like reading?
Yes.
Yeah. And so can you tell me about what your favourite thing is, what your special thing is?
My special thing is a toy called Lula.
Yeah.
She was my third toy I ever got.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you once again for having us, and thank you for becoming a part of the Pillowcase program. Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Maury. He's an amazing fella. He's built this beautiful place. He calls it the Reports Paradise.
Hi Maury, how are you? Lovely to see you.
Hello, Jess, how you going?
Super.
I've got a selection of poems here that I've written in the last 15 months since the bushfires happened. And the first one actually began at 3:30 a.m. on New Year's morning in 2019. It was pretty scary, I can tell you. I'd woken to a morning choked with acrid smoke, visibility less than 100 metres, a calamity bespoke. The signs had been apparent from my haven on the hill, where I'd watched the landscape festering from an obvious man-made ill. The place hadn't been cleared for 20 years nearly. New Year's Eve, entertaining my guests, I made a suggestion, read the dance, which is part of our local culture here, although I knew there was a chance that those plans may need sudden amendment, as a pall of smoke appeared over the crest of my mountain opposite, right across here. It was as if I had been speared. We witnessed its rapid transition fanned by an easterly curse, an orange-coloured horizon, but conditions developed far worse, as I feared for my friends in the township, for the folkies at Nariel Camp. My present companions anxious. It's months since this place has been damp.
So that was definitely a real treat to hear those poems. Maury just then was telling me about how he put on a concert for about 120 locals in January. Got some local performers to play, did some poetry reading. Towards the end of the night, people were up dancing. Despite being clearly impacted by the bushfires, he was able to work with locals to get something happening, and it's a great and heartening story to hear. A wonderful story of recovery in this community.